Well, good evening, everyone in Alberta, Canada, and beyond. It is Wednesday, April 3rd, 2024, and I'm Kerry Lambert, and I welcome you to an online webinar, Evening of Solutions for a New Alberta, brought to you by the Alberta Prosperity Project, also known as APP. APP's purpose is to educate, inspire, and unite all Albertans, businesses, and organizations to protect their prosperity, individual freedoms, rights, and self-determination by empowering the Alberta government to restructure Alberta's relationship within or without Canada. Thank you so much for showing up on a Wednesday night. I know there's lots of things going on in Alberta, and there's a few things going on at the borders. Maybe we'll even talk a little bit about that, because we're going to be talking tonight about the Alberta Pension Plan. And it's the Alberta Pension Plan Tour. But before we get into that, I do want to remind everybody to please go to the Alberta Prosperity Project website. Check it out. We've got some events going on up here. We're going to be talking a little bit more about the website. I know we're going through a revamp, and hopefully we'll be able to launch that by next week. And again, one of the reasons why we do this is because people are fascinated and they want to be educated on what's happening in Alberta and how we can actually maybe get some sort of sovereignty and independence here, because I love living in Alberta. We are one of the provinces that would be able to step up and do that. And I really hope that people, when they're watching this, they do realize how lucky the people are that do live in Alberta. And that if you're watching maybe from points beyond, maybe you're looking at moving to Alberta, maybe from Ontario, please come on down. You guys are more than welcome to come here. Lots of opportunities and lots of freedom-minded people here too. We do ask as well that you do make a membership or sign up for a membership for the Alberta Prosperity Project. APP memberships are 1 year for $20, 2 years for $30, 3 years for $40, or you can make a donation also at the albertaprosperityproject.com. I'm not going to rattle on any more about that, because I want to jump right into what tonight's episode is about. I'm just going to hide this for a second. Tonight's episode is called the Alberta First Pension Plan Tour, A Step Towards Sovereignty. We have two guests tonight. Vicky Bayford, who is Alberta Prosperity Project's event coordinator, and we're also going to hopefully have Nicole Kimpton, who is the Alberta First Pension Plan Project Manager. Nicole is currently on tour across the province. She's actually doing an event tonight in Lloydminster, and I believe the event just started, so she's going to try and come on maybe if there's a logical break, and we can talk to her about what's going on up there, as well as what's going on around the province. I do ask that you please share, if you can, this video and get the word out about this Alberta Pension Plan. And of course, this is a live webinar, so we do encourage you to ask questions and make comments throughout the presentation. Just put 3 question marks before your question, so it will be flagged and we can quickly view the questions. And with that, I'm going to bring, look at that, Nicole is on there as well. I'm going to bring both of them on at once. We got Vicky. Hello, Vicky. And we got Nicole. How are you?
Hi. Good. How are you? I'm just in Lloydminster.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I know Nicole, you're a busy lady. You're up in Lloydminster. Where have you been lately?
Yesterday we were in Vegreville and then Edmonton, and then today we're in Lloyd. Tomorrow I'll be in Bonnyville. And then we will be in Smoky Lake and St. Paul and Fort Mac over the weekend.
Wow. That is that's quite the list, and that's only a week.
Yeah. And then we'll be in Lac La Biche and Athabasca too. So.
No. Well, we'll get into a schedule in just a minute, but I understand the goal is to get 100 events by the end of June. That sounds like
that's a secondary goal.
That's a secondary goal. Okay, Vicky, what is the primary goal then?
The primary goal is that we are collecting 200,000 signatures on a petition to push the Alberta government into holding a referendum prior to the next federal election.
Okay. Do we know when that would be, or is that just
2025?
2025, October
So
2025.
October 2025, unless things change and I don't know, they push an early election. But at this point in time, that's the date. And we really want to try and get these signatures completed before summer so that we can get these on Danielle Smith's desk and tell her that, you know, the people have spoken and we want this referendum.
Yes. So 200,000 signatures. That's quite the auspicious effort. And I know even what's happening down in Calgary with the recall Gondek for the mayor, they were hoping to get 500,000 signatures by, I believe today was the last day. Everything has to be in by tomorrow. I'm not sure what numbers they've got. I know they've had several teams. You know, they said right from the get-go, to get 500,000, it would be a lot for that city, specifically because there was only like 140,000 votes cast or 140,000 votes for the mayor. So this 200,000, that's, if you're doing 100 events, that's 2,000 signatures per event.
And that's why, you know, we want to talk about this today, because it does have, actually, one of the questions I've already seen is, can you do it electronically? No.
Yes. Okay.
It is it's a wet signature we need. So we've actually, can I lead you to the website already?
Oh, sure,
or
yeah.
am I jumping ahead?
No, I can jump. No, that's totally fine. I'll go to the website. So the website, if anybody is interested in going there, it is, why do I not have that on? It's Alberta First Pension. That is actually, oh, you know what? That's actually not even the right one here.
No, it's albertafirstpension.ca.
That's right. I'm just going to do that. I'm going to post that for everybody. And then that way they can see it all. And even if they can open up another browser, they should be able to go right to there. And I think this was the old site that's actually up on the screen. So I'm going to refresh this. There you go. You wouldn't really notice a difference, but it is a refreshed site. So there you go. I'm going to accept the use of cookies. And yeah, so this is the website. It's got some information on it in terms of the what the goal is, getting the 200,000 signatures, as well as the event schedule.
That's right. And so what you can do on this site, if you do want to sign this petition, is you can actually download a paper copy right from the site.
Okay.
And we would encourage you, if you're going to sign, to bring it to your friends and have them sign it as well. So there is a downloadable version. You can print it. Okay. And there's an instruction sheet attached to the download that will tell you how to get that petition back to us.
Okay. So petition instruction form, download the form, collect signatures, first, last name, address, no PO boxes. Is there a reason for that?
Yeah.
They need a physical address so that they have,
okay.
Yeah. And the most important part too is actually they have to have it verified with the postal code as well. So there must be the physical address with postal code so that they can verify that the person exists. And I do believe that part of that reasoning is also so that if somebody has died, you can't write like your mother's name on there. And so then they actually verify it. So that little piece in there that says this will be public information, it's because it goes to the legislation. So it's not actually given out for public, you know, like not everyone can go and view it. It's just so that the government is able to actually verify those addresses.
Okay. And make sure that, did they have to be an Alberta resident?
They do. They do have to be an Alberta resident.
And 18 and over?
Yeah. No, not 18 and over. No,
not 18.
They can actually be 14 and they can sign it because you are able to join a political party when you're 14 years old. So as long as you have good penmanship, you can sign your name legibly and with your address, and then you can have a signature. Then you can actually sign this petition under 18.
So families could actually sign this. If you had a couple of teenagers and mother or father, you'd be able to do that and then give you guys a call or send a message off to you and have a volunteer come and pick that up and then register it, I guess.
Yeah. And then actually, so we don't need to necessarily have a filled up form. Obviously we would prefer one, but if you just have a few signatures and you have a few people that will sign We're just trying to get as many signatures as possible in the shortest amount of time possible to make sure this happens.
So I'm going to jump to a question because, it kind of relates to exactly what we're talking here. Bernie asked, why are they asking for signatures as our premier has already promised to have a referendum on this?
Do you want to answer that or do you want me to?
Yeah, I can answer that. It's for public pressure. As we know, politicians, they look for the support of the public. And so the reason that we're holding a referendum is because there has been talk that this possibly may not go to a referendum. And so we just want to keep that public pressure on, that we actually do want to talk about this and that this is a topic that is important to Albertans, and Albertans are able to actually have their voice heard, whether it's a yes vote or a no vote. We should be able to speak to that, and that's why we're trying to put this referendum out there. Yeah.
Okay. No, then that makes sense, because even some of the meetings that I've attended, and I just want to clarify, because I actually did get a couple of emails this week. So last week, I kind of briefly went through the website, certainly not what we're talking about right now, but just kind of say this is what it was. And I may have left the impression that the Alberta Prosperity Project was involved in this pension plan meeting, and I'm sorry if I gave that impression, but no, Alberta Prosperity Project is not involved directly. We do have a cross of people who are, of course, Alberta Prosperity members. They may be Take Back Alberta members. They may be members of other political parties or whatever. But the idea is that this is something that all of us should be coming together on, because, as we've mentioned many times on these Alberta Prosperity Project webinars, this is a very easy thing to do and get our first steps to sovereignty, right? So we've talked about before what can all provinces do, and pension is definitely one of them. We can also talk about taxation. We can also talk about employment insurance. We can talk about immigration, and then finally we can also talk about policing. And it kind of depends on which order of events you wanted to do this. But for this, I mean, if you look at the math, we've had Nadine Wellwood on, we've had Tanner Naday, we've even had Trevor Toom on 3 separate webinars. This webinar is actually not specifically about talking about the pros and cons and how the money gets transferred, blah, 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 because we've done those webinars. And honestly, if you want to know more, where do you go? To one of these member meetings, one of these meetings at the Alberta First Pension. There is no membership per se, but the idea is that you want as many people out here to be educated on the benefits of an Alberta pension plan, and then go forth and tell family and friends and neighbors, and they tell 2 friends and they tell 2 friends, and they all have great hair. That sort of thing, right? So we want that to happen over and over and over again, and that's the only way we're going to get 200,000 signatures.
Well, and one of the other things that I'll just sort of add to that, Kerry, is that it's actually really important that we're friends of Alberta. So this whole idea is it's not about one group or another group. This is specifically for people coming together as Albertans, for Albertans, regardless of our opinions, regardless of our differences, regardless of our agreeances as well. This is really for Alberta, supporting Alberta and bringing it home, and talking to the effect of not even sovereignty or anything like that. It's literally just to say, as Albertans, we can do better, and we can lead the way, and we can become a force to be reckoned with, and that people want to model. And so that's one of the biggest goals, and one of the reasons that we started all of this. We're all from different groups, and we've all started different things, but the end result is a friendship, and to bring Alberta back to a great place, and just to strive for a better economy in Alberta.
Yeah. Again, the idea behind the Alberta Prosperity Project is to tell everybody we want to be prosperous. We want to be a prosperous Alberta. We want to love this province even more than we already do. right? And obviously, if you're working, and of course, I'm a little bit older than you guys, and I'm getting closer to retirement age, despite the hair color. It's something that I'm really looking into right now and seeing. I guess there's this feeling that the government is going to be able to be there for us, and they're going to take care of us, and they're going to give us a certain amount of money. But until you're my age or even older, you may not be looking at exactly what that number is, and that number is not very high. We contributed $300,000 over the course of, say, 40 years or whatever. I mean, that number kind of is variable. But let's just say that. And then really the maximum you're probably going to get is $1,300 a month, maybe average between 800 and 1,000. That is not much, right? That is, if you've looked at the price of anything lately, the price of gas, the price of housing, it's not really sustainable with that amount of money. And one way that we could do that would be to actually bring that money closer to home and do something more with it and give options. So again, we, Nadine and Tanner, they've already talked about what those options are, but basically we want to bring the pension back into Alberta first. It pretty much has to be apples to apples with the Canada Pension Plan to the Alberta Pension Plan. And then once it's here, we can actually make some changes to it, spousal benefits, or if one person dies, or maybe we get a lump sum when you retire, or those things we can do as long as it's in our playing field. And I think that is, to me, the most important thing, is that it's out in Ottawa. We it's not like we can just phone up the CPPIB and say, hey, how's my retirement doing? Because they don't even talk to you about that.
Well, because it's not yours.
It's not ours. No, that's true too. And again, go out to one of these meetings and you will find out exactly how this is a pay-as-you-go plan. So let's talk a little bit about the schedule. So you've got 100 that you want to have, 100 events. How many have you had so far?
I believe at the moment we are at number 12, and by the end of the month we'll actually be at just over 45 to 50. We've had we'll have had 60 events by the end of April in total, accumulative with the Alberta Prosperity ones that we've done initially, and then with the other ones that we started to take on. So 9 of our own, 6 with Alberta Prosperity Project, and then more to come.
Yes.
Well, I just want to go through the schedule. These are the ones that, as far as we know, are listed, right? These are the ones that are planned. And again, I'm not going to list off all of them, but you can go to the Alberta firstpension.ca. We've got, it looks like a north route here. We have Vegreville, Lloydminster, Bonnyville, St. Paul, Smoky Lake. Next page, Fort Mac, Lac La Biche, all that sort of stuff. And then eventually we get down to Claresholm. It looks like you've actually got 2 events in Claresholm and the same day.
Yes.
Is that going to end up being a common thing where you might have more than one event going a day, or maybe you'll have one up north and one down south?
Well, depends on if we have enough speakers. I know, like, currently, we want to, make sure, like, have enough speakers. Obviously, there's only so much of us that can go around, so we can't.
That is true.
But speaking about that is I really want the public to understand too, that if they want us to come to their area, they just need to get in touch with us. So if they go to the website, go to the contact form, we are more than willing to schedule them somewhere into the calendar, where it fits. So if they go to the contact us, just give us a note, say, hey, we want you to come down here. And we'll organize the speakers, and and obviously another thing I wanted to mention is when they go to the events, to please make sure they do hit the links in RSVP. It just helps us monitor, how many people, how big of a space we're going to need if we need to change, or
that makes perfect sense, because I know right now these are, I'll call them towns, right? So maybe 10,000 and under. But yet we've also received information or a request to come to Edmonton, to Calgary, Red Deer, Medicine Hat. How do we accommodate those?
well, like I said, just have them email us, and then we can work out, a date that will fit in our calendar, and will kind of give us in a flow. We are trying to stay in one right now at this point, trying to stay in one part of the province at a time. So we're not flipping until, maybe we find a couple more speakers and get a few more people available to be able to travel across the province. Then we're kind of limited to where we can be. So we're trying to keep everything kind of in a flow. So like right now we're up north. Next week we're going to get back down south. We're going to try to come back up to central and do a lot more Calgary, and we really do want to hit Edmonton. We also don't know where all the venues are, and actually we've had so many great volunteers and supporters that have already stepped forward and given us free venues. One thing I do want to note is that we started this with zero funding.
Yeah.
So everything that we do is on donation. And of course, venues cost money, even the coffee sometimes and the water costs money. The speakers cost money. I mean, these guys are traveling around, full time. So, I mean, we got to give them some gas money so that they can keep on going and help us out. So, and help you guys out with the information. So, there's also on Eventbrite as well. When you go in there, there's a place to RSVP, and there's also under each event a donation button if you want to donate anything in advance. And we also collect donations at the door too as well, if you feel like you can. But even if you would just have a venue to offer us, it really helps us get this message out.
Well, there's so many ways to support. Like it's also the volunteers. Like I am so blessed and grateful for everyone that has been walking alongside us and is helping us out. Like you said, Vicky, like offering venues, supporting venues. We've had people booking them for us and bringing the people. They've advertised for us. We have someone that donates for a poster. Like there's so many ways to help and be a part of this. And again, it goes back to Friends of Alberta, just saying, I want to make Alberta better. And I believe in this. I believe in this province, and I'll do anything to help. And sometimes the smallest thing is like the biggest thing to us when you're helping out. It makes the world a difference.
And it just really sounds like there's a lot of logistics planning 100 events across a province. It's not like you're planning just a couple of things at a local community center. Do you guys need help? Do you need volunteers? What do you need?
Absolutely. We definitely need volunteers. I call them ambassadors. We need team leads in each of the locations. Like there's multiple times that we've gone to venues and then they're like, we want you to come back. We didn't realize how important this message was going to be. And so then they want us to come back. And then when we are booking to go back, the list is already in and said, we have 100 people that are coming to support this and we want it to grow. So we will come back. Obviously, we'd like to see the events being up into the hundreds if we can. There's no reason they can't be. And so the volunteers and the ambassadors are a huge, huge blessing and a huge help. And I can't thank everybody enough for the support that they give. So yeah, if there's people that want to step up and be an ambassador, want to be volunteers, because this isn't a small feat. Right now, we're just doing the petition to hold a referendum. It's not even the stage of actually getting to a yes. So there's so many stages for this one thing that we definitely need the support and people that want to be involved and just help out where they can.
Yeah. And one of the things we've said many times on these APP webinars is get your voice out there. If this is one way that you can get your voice out there to say, I approve of this pension plan, or the opposite, maybe you don't approve of it, get out there anyways and listen. And the important thing is just to be able to get to a point where we can sign for a referendum.
Yeah.
And whether or not you agree or not, I do encourage people, and I've said this many times too. Of course, we love it when people agree with us, but we also respect when people don't agree with us. And if you want, there are other events out there. I'm just going to I'm going to hide this banner here with the name on it, if I can find out how to do that again. Let's hide that. I'm going to show up on our, we have Max, who's one of our great volunteers. He puts together this Freedom Calendar, and he's actually got a whole list of just the Alberta Pension Plan events. So whether or not you're an orange supporter, blue supporter, green, plaid supporter, it doesn't really matter. You can always go to this appevents.ca, and he's got a calendar here telling exactly what events are coming up. I would encourage you that if you're in the area that an event is on, go to it, right? Sitting back and being apathetic is certainly not going to get us anywhere. And but if you're here, there's one in Lloyd, that would be us, the Alberta First Pension Plan. But maybe there's another event that might be coming back up to Lloyd eventually. Go out there and see what people are saying. And I think that holds true for anything. If there's a meeting on policing, or maybe there's a meeting on your school council, be involved, right? Because just sitting back and doing nothing is not going to get us anywhere. So,
absolutely,
yeah. I see a couple of other comments up here. I'm just going to call up a couple of these here. Who controls APP, and who actually decides whether or not we get to go with an Alberta pension plan? So I'm assuming who controls the Alberta pension plan, who decides whether or not we get to go with it.
Well, we have the CPP Act, right? So the
Yes.
CPP Act is the overriding legislation that was set up in the 60s when they started this. But there was a clause in there that allows us to bring it back, because it is provincial jurisdiction. It's always been provincial jurisdiction. And any province has been free to bring it back. So really, who's in charge whether or not we go with an Alberta pension plan? It's you.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's
it's Albertans. We have to decide that this is something that we want to do, and we just have to, realize that, whether you agree with it or not. And I would say, the more and more that at least we've been out there in the events that I've been to, there's been a lot of people that have come into the events with basically coming in and saying, no, I don't want this. I'm not. Well, and it's actually, and when we let them know that this petition is for them to have their voice heard, whether they support it or don't, they will still sign the petition, because they want to be able to have their no vote just as much as I want to have a yes vote.
That is true. Yeah.
So they want their voices heard too. And but usually by the time we hit an end of a meeting, we don't reform everybody. We don't get everybody convinced that this is in their own best interest or the best interest of the province. But I would say a large majority, once they actually understand the numbers, understand the system and how CPP is set up right now and how it could be set up in Alberta, that most people really do think about it. And we've swayed some minds for sure.
Yeah. And you're right, that's outside of the scope of this webinar, but I do encourage people to attend these meetings for sure. Here's another question too, and I'll answer this one. Judy asks, so if we signed through this website online a couple of years ago, you need a hard copy now? Okay, so that is, you've got yourself a little bit confused. So Alberta Pension Plan, or Alberta Prosperity Project, has their own signature and referendum. We want to have 600,000 signatures in order to present that in legislation or in the legislature, and say we are ready for a vote on independence. And that's what we need the 600,000 for. This new Alberta First Pension Plan has only really been around maybe for a month or so now, right?
Since January, since February 15th.
Okay, so chances are you would have not signed online for that. And I don't think there is a place to actually sign up. I think you can send in some contact information so that we can get back to you. We can send you emails and keep you abreast of what's going on. But yeah, the APP, I know it's a little confusing. We've actually had a few people say, has the Alberta Prosperity Project thought of changing their name? Because now it's the Alberta Pension Plan. But you know what? It could even be the Alberta Provincial Police. So I think no matter what, I think it's just a matter of we have to kind of get used to with the languages as we're talking about it. So the Alberta Pension Plan, I actually prefer to as AB PP, right? So the Alberta Pension Plan versus APP. I know lots of letters, lots of acronyms. I'm from a background that that's all I used to deal with the military, and that's all it was acronyms. So I'm well aware of how dangerous that can be.
And one of the other things too, Kerry, there was actually a online petition at one point because, and so that Take Back Alberta actually started that for us because we didn't have a website. And so, like I said, this was Friends of Alberta. And so Take Back Alberta put that on their website. So we actually ended up getting 15,000 signatures online. Unfortunately, the legislation has changed, and during COVID, it was acceptable to have an online petition where you were able to DocuSign your name, where they would send you a signature page, you would sign it and send it back. And that is no longer. The legislation has changed, and for a provincial petition, it must be a physical copy. So with those petition signatures, we actually will be going out and getting those signatures on a hard copy. So there was an online one, but now it is physical. Mm-hmm.
Okay, no, that does make sense, and you're right. I actually forgot about that one in particular. A couple more questions. One was about a Zoom meeting would be best. Have you guys considered doing not only these physical meetings where people, and I really love the physical meetings where you actually get into a room and talk to people, because it's not just the presentation that happens in front of you, it's the conversation you have with the people next to you. Right.
I think that the Zoom meetings will fit best once we're into stage 2, because that'll be more about the information and why an Alberta pension plan would be good. We, to kind of encourage that yes vote. But at this point, because we need those physical signatures and our goal right now is to collect those signatures, we need to be out in the public. And there are still, like you said, there's tons of resources online, lots of videos that people can go back and look on Alberta Prosperity Project site, there's a whole bunch of people recently, Alberta Institute, there's a lot of places where you can actually go watch past videos around the Alberta Prosperity or Alberta Pension Plan. And there's a lot of resources. And we also have a lot of resources on our website. There's links to videos, there's links to documents, and a ton of reports and things like that are available on the website. So we really encourage you to use those resources. And if you want to have like maybe a living room meeting with your family and watch one of those old videos, they're not actually that old, but whatever, the past few months of videos that have been put on there, I mean, it would be a great opportunity on a really exciting Saturday night when you have your family together and talk about the Alberta Pension Plan.
Yeah. And
then you can download the petition and sign it and get it back to us.
Yeah.
Look at that. That's amazing. That's right too. And Cody asked, are MPs allowed to sign? Or I'm going to say any government official able to sign? I like
100%. And then we actually would like to have a signature where, like I said, it's public pressure. So if MPs are signing or CAs are signing, when we know that they are constituents and things like that, it adds a little bit more pressure to that public pressure, because it's like you have the support not only of your people, but the people that are working alongside you. So we do have some CAs that are very involved that have put their name, and that was another reason why we call ourselves Alberta First Pension Plan, because then they are able to actually come out and promote and join and help us out promoting these events. So CAs, MLAs, MPs, they can all promote these events for us, and they can participate, and it's great support. It's great support.
And actually, we found out they can actually, even if they wanted to, and we highly encourage them to, is to sponsor an event, and they could help us pay for the event.
Oh, so really? Okay, that would be great.
They do have a budget that they're allowed to use towards things like this. So, I'm not nudge MLAs and MPs and our you could help us out and help just pay for an event and sponsor an event in your CA. So that's just a little nudging out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and our Bonnyville one was actually sponsored by CAs, and so was St. Paul. So I appreciate that support from the MLAs and the CAs, and from Mitch Sylvester and that. So it's absolutely, again, I'm blessed because we have so much support, and people really do want to see this happen, and they do want Alberta to have the best. So I appreciate everything that's been coming down the pipelines.
That is awesome. Terry asks this question. Why can't you just do lives like this, like you do meetings? I was looking forward to watching Tanner online tonight.
I can explain that. It's basically, we would have to, like I said, we started with zero money.
Yeah.
The equipment it takes, even though it's simple equipment, and I understand that, to do it, to make it so you could hear it properly, to make sure you have the right sound equipment, all that stuff, we would need money to have that equipment to carry around with us all the time. So if anybody is willing to purchase us some equipment to do some filming and live streaming, we would be more than willing to accept that and start live streaming these events. But at this point, it's more about just not having, we could put a phone up, but I can tell you from personal experience, the sound is bad. No one can hear. People get frustrated even trying to watch them online. So that's really the main reason.
No, that's very true. Yeah.
I do have to jump off because I'm ready to go on stage to do our meeting here in Lloyd with Tanner. So I thank you so much for having me on, and I appreciate this, and we'll chat with you guys soon. I look forward to meeting everybody in one of our meetings or on a Zoom.
Say hi to everybody out there for us too.
I will. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks.
See you, Nicole.
Bye.
And so that was Nicole Kimpton. She's the project manager for the Alberta First Pension. Great to have her. And I mean, every night it sounds like they're busy doing this, right? And so again, to further on, why can't you just do live videos like that? And yes, not only does it require the equipment, but somebody knowledgeable enough to be able to do that. It requires a different version of this StreamYard account that we're using. So we do the webinars. It's limited to certain things, and if we wanted to break that next tier up and maybe have like 10,000 viewers or 50,000 or whatever, again, that costs more money. So one thing I would like to do is to say, not only does the Alberta First Pension Plan need volunteers, but donations as well, right? And what does the donation money go to? I know we've kind of briefly talked about it, but say it again.
Well, so our donations strictly go for just moving around this province. So it goes to paying for venues. It goes towards paying the speakers. It goes towards, coffee and snacks. Although lots of times we have a lot of amazing volunteers that will bring in their own baked goods, which is absolutely delicious. And like I said, the communities have been really great about stepping up, finding us free venues, or even paying for the venues on behalf of just to be able to get us there, and bringing in baking and cookies and whatever. So, but the donations, they're really just going to help us move around the province, because obviously we all know it's not free to drive around this province, to rent facilities or anything. So all the money that we get is going towards collecting these signatures and moving around and getting the information out.
I wanted to show a map of Alberta because, until I was actually involved in any of this, this was the extent of me knowing Alberta, honestly. And I'll bet you there's at least maybe 1 million people that are in that same boat, right? Like they know the corridor between Calgary and Edmonton, but there is so much more to Alberta. And what I wanted to show is the electoral map, because this kind of gives you a better idea of how much what the population of each area is, and where people need to go in order to get to these meetings. And I know Vicky and I have talked about this before in terms of, each one of these electoral maps has, I'm going to say, 30,000
voters.
30,000 voters. That's right. And that's true. That's voters versus population. But it gives you a good idea of how, if you're looking at Rocky Mountain House and you live closer into the foothills, where you would have to travel in order to get to there. And the same thing we've had people saying again, when are you coming to Medicine Hat? When are you coming to Lethbridge and all that? And I think it's really important to see, where things are on this map in order to actually get meetings organized. So if you happen to live in an area, by all means, yes, please get back to us. Let us know that you're interested in having a meeting, and Vicky or Nicole will get back to you in terms of a schedule, because not only is it a schedule that might work for that particular location or that hall, it's also going to work with the rest of the schedule that's happening already. We can't have our speakers speaking every day, right? They need a little bit of downtime for their family as well as travel. So you can't really just do something, up in Sundre on one day and then, in the evening go to Brooks or anything like that. So there's that logistical stuff that a lot of people just don't really realize. So I think that's important to note. So that's kind of what I wanted to say about that.
And again, and even that just costs us more money. Like, even if we could go like one day up north to Grand Prairie and the next day be down in Calgary again, it doesn't make sense. Like, we're trying to be as frugal as possible and as responsible as we can in making sure that we're using these donations as efficiently as possible.
Yeah, Michelle just asked, just a reminder to people that they can go and print the petition to be signed and send it back to APP. Essentially send it back to the Alberta First Pension. Kerry, can you put the website on again? And I'm just going to do that right now. It is under albertafirstpension.ca. You can go there, and also up on this. Where are we here?
Actually, if you're going to open up the website again too, I wouldn't mind just taking people through it if that's okay.
Sure. Yep. You want to go back to the...
Yeah, I just wanted so that people know where to look for things, so they don't have to search. I mean, it's a pretty simple website, and it's a beautiful website that the person I know just did a fabulous job.
Yeah. We'll have to thank him at some point. Yeah.
Yes. So we have obviously our please join us. This is going to be a live website. We're probably going to be updating it with new information as we get it. But, this is basically about what we are, who we are. So we've got so this is our goal. Does this have the link right here about Alberta First with the goal? Does that have a link to the petition there?
No, but it probably could. But if we go here, petition instructions.
Yeah, so the petition is right down here. So basically, this is the important part, is like, if you want to download it, you can download it right there. And then, like I said, there's an instruction sheet, so it tells you exactly who you need to get in contact with once you've completed filling it out. And if you do want to fill it up, that would be great. If you just have a couple signatures and you want to send it back, just let us know. We'll arrange for a volunteer or one of us whilst we're driving around the province to pick it up from you.
So even if you get it signed like tomorrow and you live up in Grand Prairie and you're not in Grand Prairie for a couple of weeks, just hold on to it.
Yeah, and just let us know that you have it and you're ready for us to pick it up, and we'll make arrangements for sure.
Good. Okay.
And we do have volunteers across the province as well who are willing to help us collect them as well. So, and again, that's one of the things that our volunteers, if you were willing to volunteer, could do, is even just going out and collecting signatures for us, and being even maybe a collection point for our petitions to go. Lots of different things that you can do to help.
Yeah. Okay. And then some donations and get involved, sign up, email addresses. And then, so the frequently asked question and links page, the frequently asked questions are being compiled, but for the most part, this is links now. A great document. Welcome to the Alberta Pension Plan. Did you know all this stuff? This is just a 2-pager that you can print out. And it's great conversation piece with your friends, your family, your neighbors. And likewise, if you feel like being a true ambassador, you could always print these off and then stick them in your neighbors' mailboxes.
Yep.
Yeah, and it even says visit Alberta Pension firstpensionplan.ca to find out more. There's some links about the Canada Pension Plan, the CPP Investment Board, and an interesting thing that we brought up last week too is the CPP Investment Board is coming to Alberta for public meetings. They are in Calgary on Tuesday, the 16th of April, and they're in Edmonton on the 17th of April. And my understanding is that the Calgary one is already sold out, or at least
I heard they added more seats.
They had that. Okay,
they changed venues or something.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah, and we would encourage you to go to that and ask them the hard questions.
Yes.
Ask them, because a lot of we're not going to go too much into the details, but a lot of the justification that they're telling people why they should stay in a CPP are irrelevant, because you could have the exact same thing with an Alberta pension plan as you could with a Canadian pension plan. So, again, I encourage people to go and just ask a lot of questions to those ones as well. So so where do I find the information is why you'd want to sign? Well, the why you'd want to sign is just to have your voice heard, so you can say yes or no on a referendum. That's the whole purpose of the petition.
That's right. And whether or not you've made up your mind that no, I want to make very little on my money and keep it out of the province because I don't like that, then that is your prerogative, and you can definitely do that. But the idea is that you want to have your voice heard so that you can sign no as opposed to signing yes.
You can vote yes or no. Right. But this is just to get the referendum to happen. This is to push the referendum. But if you do want a lot of information about the pension plan, we do have under that FAQ and links. There's a ton of information there that you can look at.
Yeah. And this was a really good email that was sent to us through the Alberta Prosperity Project by Rick Rawuski. And I encourage people to at least look at it and read it, because he talks about if this money was invested elsewhere. And I'm not going to go into the details. You guys can go on and take a look at it. But I think these are the types of comments that we get many, many times, is that why was the CPP done in that particular way? Why is that money funding the people who have already retired? And this is a great letter on how to read that. And again, it's one of those things that you could definitely have a conversation with family and friends about too.
Yeah. And so again, just more articles
Yeah.
That you can read, and links,
Yeah.
Other reference materials. And then of course we have the petition again,
Yeah.
and eventually we are going to have an FAQ on there. I actually still have a ton of questions that I have to get answered from our professionals and get those posted. So, because sometimes at some of these meetings, we've been unable to get to every single question as much as we'd love to. We have time limits.
That is very true. You're right. So what actually does happen we just talked about the website. What actually happens at the meeting? Is it just is it a talking head? Is there a presentation done? Like, explain to people what ends up happening.
We've done a few different formats. I'm actually not sure even what the format is of the one that Nicole's actually doing right now up north, if they're doing the question format. But we originally, when we started doing the events under Alberta Prosperity Project, we had a panel. So we had 3 panel speakers, and we did set it up as a Q&A. So it was a little bit more interactive. We had, I think, 8 to 10 fixed questions, and we went for an hour, had a break, and then we would just do audience Q&A afterwards for another hour. And try to get through as many questions as we could. But we've also had presentations by Nadine and Tanner separately that have been more of them doing a presentation and then answering questions. But we always, no matter what, leave room at the end for people to ask questions, because we think that's the important part.
Yeah. Our good buddy Stone says, nothing will really matter till we get rid of the WEF and the UN and the WHO and the MOUSC or whatever other acronyms are out there. And I joke about that all the time, but no, and I do agree, except we can't just sit around idly waiting for that to happen. We have to act. We have to do something And this is definitely something that we could be doing. This is something that doesn't take up a lot of time. Even if you wanted to volunteer for just one meeting that's in your area, just volunteer for the one meeting. It'll take up a night and maybe 1 or 2 meetings online before that, and that is it. So if that's the minimum amount of time that you have to invest, then I encourage you to definitely get involved with that.
Well, and I think anything that we can take from the East and bring home to the West is in our best interest, and it gets us closer to that goal of getting rid of the WEF and the UN. Like, actually, one thing is, that's embedded into the Canada Pension Plan as far as their investments is a lot of the DEI, SDG things. Like as far as investments and stuff, they've been really encouraged through the Bank of Canada to invest in these things and these ideologies, as opposed to just maximizing. Not that they've done a horrible job, but they could be probably maximizing the profits on the fund probably a little better if they were more free to invest in better things. And again, if that Alberta pension plan was under the control of Albertans, we would have a lot more influence as far as being able to make whatever that mandate is for the pension fund. We would be able to at least put the pressure on our local politicians, as opposed to screaming down at Deaf East, trying to change what their mandate is for that fund. So again, I think it's just about getting more control wherever we can. And I think this is a very doable and very important thing that we do to start bringing sovereignty back into Alberta.
Yep, that's right too. I just wanted to point out one more thing here. We'll probably wrap up right away unless there's a lot of questions, because I think that's kind of the gist of what we wanted to do, is let you guys know about the tour, what's actually happening. I wanted to point out that on April 25th, we actually have an event in Barrhead and an event in Grand Prairie. For the most part, these events, Vicky, do they cost money, or are they free, or by donation, or
we suggest a donation. It just helps us out so we can make it to the next meeting. But the Barrhead one, actually, I'm glad you brought that one up. That one is actually a fundraiser that we're doing to try to help raise funds so that we can kind of get a little bit of a pool of money together to just help cover some of our shortfalls at some of the meetings. So anyway, so the Barrhead one is actually going to be a lot of fun. We're doing a silent auction. There's going to be a dinner, and then obviously still the speakers and the Q&A. And so that one is going to start a lot earlier. We're going to open the doors at 4, and the dinner will be at 6, and speakers will start at 7. But it'll open early at 4 so people can look at the silent auction prizes, and people can trickle in as they choose to. But that one is $25. And we have a really great local caterer from that area that's going to be catering that meal. And I'm actually really excited about that one. Our lady in the area, Dorothy, that's helping us, has done a lot of the work to organize this event. Actually, is just amazing, and she's been great and supportive, and I really want to fill this event.
So Tanner Day will be there, as well as Corey Morgan from the Western Standard. Of course, we've went out and did a pension plan tour. We did the ambassador tour with them at the end of last year as well, and I'll be at that one in particular too. I'm going to try and make it out to as many as I can. My schedule is all over, and obviously, if I'm traveling north of, say, Red Deer, it's a little more difficult since I live in Calgary. But I will definitely be trying to get out to as many as these as possible. And again, I encourage you as well. If we've got Tanner speaking in one event, and then we come back again later on, and we have Nadine or another speaker, then I would encourage you to go to both, and maybe even learn even more about it. Right. So. It's
pretty exciting. I'm actually probably feeling very optimistic about our success in this. And like I said, I encourage all of you to help out with whatever way you can. And we still want to say a big thank you to all those people who have helped, and just let you guys know how much we appreciate you, and that we're not going to get this done alone. We gotta work together.
That's right. Yeah. Sheila just asked, when is the Grand Prairie event? And the event is on the 25th. Again, go to the website, and everything's listed out there. You can even click on the Eventbrite. I'm not even sure what's going to happen when I click on mine. Let's just see what happens together. It goes to the event itself, and you can sign up. And again, explain why it's important for people to sign up, even though it's a free event. Why is it still important for people to sign up?
Just so we can actually track numbers. And two, again, if we plan an event, let's say, for example, and it's hopefully we don't come to that situation, but even if, let's say, we have an event planned and 2 days out, we have 2 RSVPs, we're going to cancel, especially if we're paying for that venue, because we just don't have the money to go to an event if there's only 2. And also, if we get 200 RSVPs, we need to know that we might need a bigger venue or something like that. So it's just so that we know.
What are your plans? One last kind of question here. What are your plans for the big cities? Like in Edmonton, are you going to do one big event? Are you going to do multiple smaller events? Are you going to do it over a couple of weeks? Or what are your plans for that?
So Calgary and Edmonton both, we're probably going to try and just do a whole bunch of smaller events, because that sounds like where we're getting the most support in the cities. Right. There's smaller groups within the city that are inviting us in. And so we're trying to get a whole bunch, especially May. We really want to focus on Calgary, and Edmonton, and just try to hold a whole bunch of like 50 to 100 people events, as many as possible, and as many as we can get invited to. And there's possibility that I might be doing one downtown, like a lunchtime meeting.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm just waiting to hear back on that confirmation, but hit the downtown core, we're hoping. So yeah, if any of those engineers or VPs or execs downtown, would like to host one in their conference center in their office tower, we'll come.
That's right. And it's just a matter of getting a hold of you guys again. And what is what's the best email to get a hold of you guys at?
It is albertafirstpension@gmail.com. And again, you can even go through the website at albertafirstpension.ca, and you can use the contact form on there as well. So either way, you'll get a hold of us and we will get back to you. We're usually fairly quick.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for the time invested in all of this and doing all the meetings. And I know it seems to be a thankless job just when you're in it, right? But when you're actually at the meetings and you're actually having the conversations with people, they're very appreciative. So thank you very much for everything that you and you, Vicky, and Nicole do as well. You guys are doing a hell of a job. And the other thing I did want to bring up too is you're also the events coordinator for the Alberta Prosperity Project.
That's right.
Yes. And are you guys working on any other events right now?
So we have our members meeting. Actually, thank you for letting me talk about that. So June 1st, the Alberta Prosperity Project members meeting will be June 1st in New Sarepta. Right. So we're
I'm just on the Alberta Prosperity Project events page here, and you can go and take a look at that.
Yep. That will be June 1st, and that one is going to be an earlier in the day event. So I think we're gonna make that. There's going to be a dinner, but we're going to probably start that one with a little bit of a fundraiser as well. We're going to have a silent auction at that one. We haven't put out a full itinerary yet, but we do want to make this one a little bit more social. Yeah. So we're only going to have probably about an hour of speakers, I think. It might be a little bit more than that, but right now, we're just going to talk about where we're at as Alberta Prosperity Project, where we're going. And then we are talking about possibly doing some little break-off sessions just for an hour and talk about ideas and what we can do to make Alberta a better place and work together and just exchange ideas. And then we're going to have some social time after that, and just, you know, maybe have a couple of drinks, and if you want to drink, and just have a DJ or something. But we haven't nailed everything down, but we do have a date, we do have a hall, and we will have dinner.
So save the date, Saturday, June 1st. It's a daytime event, 10 a.m. till 6, tentatively right now, or is that confirmed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, we have the hall for the day.
Okay. And that's at the New Sarepta Hall in New Sarepta, which is where? Explain where it is.
That is off the 21, just off of the 21 highway.
Yeah. So near Camrose?
Yeah, ish. And
okay.
Kind of closer to Sherwood Park, I would say. It's like a half hour from Sherwood, I think.
Excellent. Well, that's great. Well, so then, you've definitely got a busy few months doing those events. And I also know that Alberta Prosperity Project is going to be doing some door knocking. And we're going to be doing another webinar, just kind of specifically just talking about the door knocking and talking about the referendum. And if people want to sign up as well, I know they can just go to the albertaprosperityproject.com and sign up and show that you've got an interest in doing that, and
vote yes for a referendum on independence.
And that's exactly what it is. There are literally door knockers. I wish I had one handy, but I don't. But they will be hanging on the door. But the idea is you knock on the door, you get the little spiel to whoever answers it, leave them with the door knocker, and if they're not there, then you just hang it on the doorknob and get the word out. Because again, we're that whole thing is we want 600,000 signatures. So
600,000 contacts, so that we can gather signatures.
That's right.
When we're ready.
Like Michelle says, register your intent to vote yes for a referendum on Alberta. And that, again, if I can look up here, is under bit.ly/AB vote yes. You can go and check that out. So, and with that, I think, unless you have anything else you want to wrap up with, Vicky, is that thanks again for everything that you do there.
No, I guess the only thing I have to say, just based on some of the comments, is if you want us to come to your area, please get in touch with us, and we will try to work something out with you.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you very much, Vicky. I'm going to wrap things up. I'm going to send you on your way. I know you've got meetings to plan, and I'm just going to be on for another minute or so. So thanks again, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks.
Bye.
Again, Vicky Bayford and Nicole Kimpton from the Alberta First Pension. Great job that they're doing out there, and it is a first step towards sovereignty. We kind of opened up with that, saying, what can we do? And the pension plan, as far as I'm concerned, is a real no-brainer. When you go out to these meetings, you actually talk to or listen to the presentation that's done, and then you talk to everybody around you. It's like, why has this not been done before? And I think the reason is because a lot of us were apathetic, complacent. We just didn't know what was going on behind the scenes. And of course, now we've kind of been woken up, shaken up. We do see the benefits of everything that the Alberta province, or actually, I'll say it again, any province can do this. If you're in BC, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, anything, you can do this as well. And I know there have been conversations that the Alberta Prosperity Project has had with a similar group in BC and a similar group in Saskatchewan. And I do want to say that if you're in that area and you want to, or if you're in that mindset, I should say, and you want to have a conversation with the Alberta Prosperity Project, please do reach out to us, and we will definitely get a hold of you, talk to you back. We'll let you know what our experience has been in certain areas. And like I said, the pension is definitely something we're definitely interested in, and I'm really interested in taxation. Why should we be sending the money out to the feds first before we get anything back? That seems a little backwards to me. We should be keeping it here first and then sending it out there. but that's just me. And so that's something that, well, baby steps, little steps at a time. Pension is one. And let's talk about taxation, employment insurance, and immigration going forward as well. So, and I know even the policing, Grand Prairie is looking at their own, and other points in the province. So I won't ramble on about that for so much more, but you guys are all amazing. Thank you so much for joining us on a Wednesday night. We do this every Wednesday. Of course we do. And we next week, I thought I'd bring up that we have Brian Gitt in. Brian Gitt is an author and he's a clean energy expert. I'm actually really looking forward to this conversation. He leads business development for a startup on next generation nuclear technology. He writes and speaks about the need for energy that's clean, reliable, and affordable. And he will be speaking about his new book, In the Dark, Fixing Energy Policies That Hurt People and the Planet. So whether or not you're a pro, well, anything, like if you're oil and gas, and you don't like the windmills, you don't like the wind turbines, and you don't like the solar panels, and maybe you want to know a little bit more about nuclear, next week will be a great presentation to listen in on. So I'm looking forward to that, because you can't just be focused on one thing. We have to be looking at it from all sides, because again, everything seems to do this. I like it when it shows up on the screen like that. So we have to take a look at from different points of view, and I like having conversations. And even today, one last thing, I almost forgot about this. One last thing that went out today, and of course I have to call this up on the screen. So we had our communications team put together an email that went out today. And of course, it was addressed to me, so it says Kerry, but it says, every Wednesday, the Alberta Prosperity Project brings you relevant interviews with speakers from around the nation and the world. Worldwide, we strive to educate you on the matters that matter to you most. We want to engage with some new experts on our webinar, which requires a speaking fee. So this is something that's just kind of happened, I would say, within the last 3 or 4 months. We would be talking with people about coming on and doing our webinars, and now everyone's really feeling the crunch, and so they're asking for speaking fees, which obviously I don't have a problem with, depending on the information that's being presented. And we're asking for your help to bring those people on. Some of the guests include Patrick Moore, Robert Kennedy Jr., and Dr. John Campbell, who and it's interesting that we actually picked those particular names, because Patrick Moore was the founder of Greenpeace. He's since kind of changed his mind about what's happening in terms of the Greenpeace platform. I'd love to have a conversation with him. Robert Kennedy Jr., we were just talking about Brian Gitt coming on and talking about nuclear energy. Robert Kennedy Jr. is not a big fan of nuclear energy, but I would still love to have a conversation with him about American politics and where he thinks things are going to be going. And Dr. John Campbell, if anybody follows him, he's in the UK, and he was very pro-vaccine at the beginning, and then he did a little bit more research into this, and since then he's really walked the fine line in terms of information that he can convey on YouTube. Fascinating stuff, and he's very thorough, and so I follow him as well. I'd love to have him on a conversation on one of these webinars for you. And we would like to contribute to having these. Would you like to contribute to having these people on the webinar? So that's where we're asking. If you are, and they are asking for a speaking fee, we would like to be able to bring them on. And so that's why we're asking you for a donation, whether it's a monthly donation, a one-time donation for a fee, or if you'd like to sponsor a webinar. Of course, we've asked that before, and we have had a few people inquire about it. And in the end, things have not kind of worked out exactly the way that I wanted it to. It sounds so simple when you think about it, but no, there's a lot of stuff that needs to be ironed out with that. So with that, your donation can include a recognition on our webinar. And if you have a company, we can provide a banner. And during the webinar, we can do practically whatever you want. If you want to do a little commercial right at the beginning, as an example, with Brian Gitt next week, if you're dealing with energy, if you're a wind turbine company or a solar panel, or maybe you create these new nuclear energy little pods. I actually forget what they're called, but I know they're the small ones. And if you'd like to be involved with that, I would love to be able to do a presentation or a commercial before a webinar with that. And I'm just reading the rest of the email here. We highly value your input on who we want to see on our, who you would want to see on our webinars. Your suggestions for webinar speakers are essential in helping us make sure that we deliver the content you want to see. We would greatly appreciate if you could share your ideas with us. We've already received, I would say we've probably received 20 emails this morning based just upon this email, with lots of comments and lots of good positive feedback, and even one or two bad, which I'm okay with, because you have to learn to live with some criticism, right? So lastly, we are looking for volunteers to help us in the webinar team. So last week we announced that Chris Scott was stepping down as the interim CEO of the Alberta Prosperity Project. He has since actually taken quite a step back. He is no longer my cohort on these webinars, sad to say, but him and I will be doing Chris and Kerry shows. So there is some silver lining to that. It's just that we can't really do an awful lot together, and it's tough for him to schedule a Wednesday, yada yada. So that's kind of what we're looking at right now. So I'm looking for someone to help me with doing, or me as in the royal me, the Alberta Prosperity Project webinar team, to be doing webinar production and post-production. We've kind of experimented with a little bit with some AI, taking these really long-winded rants like I'm doing right now, putting them through a filter, and then chopping them up into maybe 30-second chunks. I think that's brilliant. And if anybody has that capability that would be able to do that and help us out, and maybe put us on TikTok or some really short condensed versions of Rumble or YouTube, that would be amazing. And likewise, if you want to be a co-host with me, by all means, please send us an email. You can get a hold of us through the albertaprosperityproject.com website. And lastly, we had Sean Hamilton, who was doing our research for getting us, well, basically speakers, our guests, to be able to come on. And he's taken a step back as well. He is actually away for the next few weeks, and then he'll be coming back. To what extent, I'm not entirely sure. But I would like to have someone to be able to help me as well. So again, I'm just kind of asking for help if you guys are able to do that and be involved in something that reaches potentially, 30 to 50,000 people watch one of our webinar videos every week. So there may only be 1,000 to 2,000 people that actually watch while we're live, but then we do post-production. We send it out to various channels. And again, I'm often asked where our reach is. And I'm just going to go on our Chris Kerry show, just because it does kind of show the extent of our map. This is roughly where people watch our videos from, believe it or not. So definitely heavily concentrated in North America, but you name it, like we're across the globe, and that's where these webinars go to. People are really interested in what's happening in Alberta, and definitely looking forward to seeing how prosperous Alberta can possibly be. So with that, I'm going to wish you guys an amazing Wednesday night, and we will see you next week. And you guys take care, and have an awesome week. Cheers, bud. I gotta do this here. I gotta do this all by myself. Good night.